This video, sponsored by the California Department of Education, is part of the CASP and LPAC Interim Assessment video series. This video covers how to administer the LPAC interim assessments and specifically reviews the speaking domain for all grades. Let's start with what an educator needs in order to administer and score the speaking domain. Educators will need access to the secure materials for the LPAC interim assessments, which can be found in the Test Operations Management System, or TOMS, under the Resources tab. The first documents needed, even before testing begins, are the training guide and exemplars. These provide an educator with the resources they need to score in the moment, which is necessary for the speaking domain. Because of this, educators should spend time with the grade level or grade span training guide and exemplars before administration. The training guide and exemplars contain descriptions of the task types, scoring rubrics, and all the test questions at each grade or grade span. They also include anchor sets that provide sample responses at different score points, and check sets for educators to practice scoring. Educators will also need the directions for administration, or DFAs, to administer the speaking domain. The DFAs are designed to be used during testing as they contain the test questions that the educator asks the student in the moment, as well as prompting guidelines, scoring rubrics, anchor charts, and the speaking student score sheet. The DFAs can be printed or used digitally. For most LPAC interim assessments, 2 devices are needed for testing, one for the educator to start a test session and one for the student testing interface. A standardized LPAC speaking administration is a one-on-one individual administration with the educator navigating the student device and using the DFA to read questions, consult scoring rubrics, and prompt the student. As testing occurs, the educator may either enter scores directly into the Data Entry Interface, or DEI, during testing, or they can use the Speaking Student Score Sheet provided in the DFA to record their scores. If using the score sheet, they will enter the scores into the DEI immediately following testing. For more information on entering scores into the DEI, refer to the Interim Assessment video series webpage. The speaking domain contains a recording device embedded in the Test Delivery System, or TDS, to record student responses. If requested by a student, they can listen to hear their recordings while in the test session, but once they submit their test, they can no longer access their response. Unlike the initial and summative LPAC, the recording is not saved in the TDS. The educator may still choose to have the student use the recording device to simulate the initial and summative administration and practice the process. Also, in the initial and summative LPAC, the educator and student do not listen to the student's recorded response. The educator scores what they heard the student say, not what was recorded. Note that there are no stopping markers, a feature of the summative and initial LPAC tests, in the TDS for LPAC interim assessments. However, an educator may choose to pause a student's assessment at any time. The LPAC interim assessments are versatile and can be administered in a non-standardized manner for instructional purposes. For instance, educators may administer a whole domain or choose only certain task types using the test content in the DFAs or training guides and exemplars. The interim assessment viewing system can also be used to display LPAC interim assessment questions to a whole class. Students can also take interim assessments at a different grade level. Each speaking task type can be administered in an engaging, non-standardized manner. For the speech functions task type, students could engage in role play to practice different language functions. Using the speech function questions in the DFAs or the training guides and exemplars, students can assume the role of the audience in the prompt, such as a librarian, a teacher, or a friend. They can practice responding to their peers as if they were speaking to that audience. The task type of retell a narrative is another opportunity for collaboration. Students may share a device, using the pictures as scaffolding for retelling. Partners can have copies of the speaking rubric and provide feedback for students' retelling of the narrative, with the educator providing prompts for the students as needed. The grade span 3 through 12 may have additional non-standardized options for some of the LPAC task types. For example, when the educator is administering a summarize an academic presentation item, students may engage in a collaborative text reconstruction activity. Thank you for viewing this video on how to administer the LPAC interim assessments. For more information on administering the listening, reading, and writing domains, as well as on other topics, access the other videos in this series at bit.ly/IA video series. This video was brought to you by the California Department of Education.